Good morning. My name is Chris Taylor. I'm from the Office of Educator Effectiveness, and we'll be going through the performance and evaluation with you this morning to support effective teaching in your classrooms. Okay, this is our agenda for today. We'll be giving you, well, I did a welcome, and we'll be giving you a little bit of context. We'll overview the key elements of the performance evaluation. We'll go over the rubric of effective teaching, the 5-step cycle, and the EDFS online system. We'll review educator plans and ratings and next steps. First, if you'd like to ask questions during this webinar, here are a variety of ways that you can contact us. You can contact us by texting, tweeting, and going to this website, polleveryone.com. You may also use the question feature in the GoToWebinar panel. We'll also be taking a couple of breaks, so you'll be able to submit your questions that way during the breaks, and we'll get back to you when we return. So first, just a little bit of information about this new evaluation system, what our hopes are. We believe it will improve student learning. We believe it sets a high bar for professional teaching status, and that it allows teachers to have a stronger voice in the evaluation process. We believe this system recognizes excellence in teaching and leading, and that it will increase conversation and knowledge of and practice of effective teaching. We believe the performance evaluation, this new system, highlights the good work you are already doing in your school buildings, and that it's leveraged to be successful in engaging families, professional growth, using data, differentiation, increasing rigor, and that it's also a pathway to meeting our goals in the acceleration agenda, which is graduating all students, closing access and achievement gaps, and ensuring greater proficiency on the MCAS assessment. Our objectives for today: if we've done our job, you will understand the components of the new educator evaluation process. There are the 4 standards of the rubric of effective teaching, the types of educator ratings and growth plans, as well as understanding the 5-step cycle that begins with self-assessment, goal setting, implementing the plan, formative assessment and evaluation, and ends with summative evaluation. This new evaluation system was implemented in 11 turnaround schools last year, and so some of what we talk about today has been informed by that experience. We will also talk to you about how previous plans translate into the new plans under the evaluation system. And here we'll be referring to also the district priority areas, which we will talk about later, but we want to give you some experience with them right now. The 4 areas are professional growth and evaluation, using data to differentiate instruction, increasing academic rigor, and engaging families, community, and partners. Some of the background that leads us to this new evaluation system begins with the race to the top. As you know, Massachusetts competed for these funds, and as a result of winning the race to the top funds, a new performance evaluation is a part of that competition. We will be talking about the state regulations and guidelines that are incorporated into the new evaluation system, and how this allows us to develop common expectations through rubrics about our practice. So we'll begin with the overview of the key changes in this new evaluation performance system. Past performance evaluations were oftentimes inconsistent, lacked comprehensive evidence collection, and absence of educator voice. With this new system, there is a rubric for effective teaching that elaborates on effective performance and what that looks like. The 5-step cycle for evaluation is a part of this new evaluation system. Everything will be housed on the Educator Development and Feedback Online System, also known as the EDFS. So we will be moving to a completely online system. And then the new 4 performance levels and 4 educator plans. So key change number 1 begins with the 8 dimensions of effective teaching, which is how the previous evaluation was based on. And now we're moving to 4 standards. The new rubric that we'll be working with has 4 standards, beginning with curriculum planning and assessment, teaching all students, family and community engagement, and professional culture. And we believe that the 8 dimensions of effective teaching are all reflected in these 4 standards. The top 2 standards, curriculum planning and assessment, and teaching all students, have an asterisk because in order to receive an overall rating of proficiency, an individual must have a proficient rating in the first 2 standards. So they are incorporating a lot of the professional practice that we see that is proficient practice and effective practice, incorporating 1 and 2. So in order to receive proficient practice overall, you need to have or demonstrate efficient practice in standards 1 and 2. So at this point, we also want to talk about the new principal administrator evaluation. It also is based on 4 standards: instructional leadership, management and operations, number 3, family and community partnerships, and number 4, professional culture. And we believe that the instructional leadership component, which has an asterisk, also leads to supporting teachers in meeting standards 1 and 2 in their rubric. So curriculum planning and assessment and teaching all students, we believe, is encapsulated in instructional leadership, and that an administrator will be evaluated along these standards. So far we've gone over some of the key changes, the rubric, the 4 standards. So we just want to take a moment to give you a chance to digest that. If you have any questions, again, you can tweet us, you can go use the poll, or you can send us a text message. So we'll take a couple of minutes to have a break, and then we'll come back if you have any questions and address those first. Okay, welcome back. We do have one question. The question is, who evaluates principals? And the person to evaluate a school principal will be the academic superintendent. So whatever school level the principal is, if it's elementary, middle, or high, that superintendent for that level will be evaluating that school leader according to the 4 standards that we mentioned here for principals and administrators. Instructional leadership being the top, management and operations, number 2, number 3, family and community partnership, and number 4, professional culture. So thank you for that question. So going on to some of the key changes in the previous evaluation. Previously, teachers only received a summative evaluation. That was in the form of a meets or does not meet. With this new evaluation system, it begins with a cycle starting with self-assessment. So this five-step cycle is now a part of the new evaluation process, beginning with self-assessment, moving on to goal setting and plan development, implementing the plan, a formative assessment or formative evaluation, and then ending with a summative evaluation. Another key change is everything will be housed on the Employee Development and Feedback System, also known as the EDFS. And this is a snapshot of this, a screenshot, excuse me, of this EDFS system. So below you see about 4 or 5 icons, and each icon represents a stage in the evaluation system. So you see below it begins with self-assessment, the next icon says goals, then action steps, evidence, observations, and evaluation. So this is another key change in this new performance evaluation system. Another key change are the 4 rating categories and 4 educator growth plans. Previously, the 2 categories were does not meet standards and meet standards. In this new evaluation system, there are 4 categories. They are unsatisfactory, needs improvement, proficient, and exemplary. So in these 4 categories, unsatisfactory would be the same as does not meet, but you can meet expectations with the 3 green areas shown above, needs improvement, proficient, and exemplary. We consider proficient to mean fully and consistently meeting the requirements of the standard. So we've talked about the ratings. Well, we haven't gotten to the ratings, but the different plans and categories, the standards. And so if you have any questions, we'll take a few moments now. Again, you can text us, send a message, tweet us, send a message via the website, or go to the webinar control panel. And we'll take a quick break. Welcome back. We did have one question, and that was whether these slides will you have access to these slides once this webinar is complete? And yes, we do have a website. We'll show you the actual site address at the end of the presentation. All of our resources are housed there. So yes, you will have access to these slides from this webinar. Thank you for the question. Okay, next agenda, we'll be talking about the rubric of effective teaching. So as mentioned, there are 4 standards in the new teacher evaluation, and these are the 4 standards. The 4 standards are also reflected in this slide called the Teacher Rubric at a Glance. You see the 4 standards across the top. Standard 1, Curriculum Planning and Assessment. Standard 2, Teaching All Students. Standard 3, Family and Community Engagement. And Standard 4, Professional Culture. Also, besides the 4 standards, there are 16 indicators that make up the rubric of effective teaching, this new rubric, and there are 37 elements. So here under Standard 1, we have Curriculum and Planning Indicator, the elements underneath that, Assessment Indicator, B, and then the 2 elements underneath that indicator, and then C, Analysis Indicator, and those elements. So again, the 4 standards, there are 16 indicators, and there are 37 elements. And as you go from standard to indicator to element, the information gets more specific. Here is one page of the rubric. The first arrow points to the standard, the second arrow points to the indicator, and the third arrow points to the elements, as well as the different performance ratings, from unsatisfactory to needs improvement to proficient and exemplary. And the rubric of effective teaching outlines each standard, each element, each indicator, and each element. The purpose of the rubric of effective teaching is to develop a consistent shared understanding of what proficient practice looks like, to develop a common terminology as we talk about that practice, and to make informed professional judgments. The rubric is not a checklist. It's not supposed to be used as a checklist when you go into a classroom for observations, but it is to inform our conversations about effective practice, to help us make informed judgments about what is being observed. Again, this is a reminder of how you can contact us if you have any questions, but we just took a break, so we're just going to continue to go on. Next, we're going to talk about the 5-step cycle and the EDFS system. So again, the 5-step cycle begins with self-assessment, moves on to goals. But at this self-assessment stage, you want to think about, this is the educator thinking about what are my strengths and areas for development. We also learned that from the turnaround schools, there are a few best practices. And one best practice that we took from the turnaround schools as we begin to do these trainings all over the district is when you learn about the district priorities as well as your school priorities, it will help inform your self-assessment. And that you want to have the district and school priorities in mind as you begin to write and think about your self-assessment. So you want to take notes in regards to those priorities as well as your strengths and weaknesses, and you want to look at the data for your present students that you will have this school year. The self-assessment is completed by the educator. It does not have to be approved by their evaluator or principal, but it is a time to reflect on practice, performance, and how you want to grow as an educator, as a practitioner, and how you want to help your students grow to increasing proficiency. Again, the EDFS is the online system where everything will be housed. And you will submit, the educator will submit a summary of the strengths of need and areas of need. You do not have to assess yourself according to the entire rubric, but you want to have an idea of what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, especially in line with your school priorities and your district priorities. And this screenshot just gives you a picture of what that looks like on the EDFS. This form is actually a form from the state that is used to help educators reflect on their self-assessment, and it just represents the summary that you will enter into the EDFS. So you'll think about your students, you look at the data, and you'll think about how you want to help them grow and achieve, and then you'll also look at your own practice. This is another part of the self-assessment. And again, what you're doing is inputting onto the system a summary. You can, of course, take notes, and you can write it out longhand or type it out. You can cut and paste from a Word document and place it onto the online system, but you're only submitting a summary at this point. So we did have a scheduled break here. Again, this is how you can contact us. So we'll take a few moments and pause in case anyone has any questions. Okay, we're back. We did have one question, and the question is, who sees your summary, your self-assessment summary? And the person who sees that, the educator, him or herself, does see it, but the evaluator has access to it as well. So the principal or the evaluator, your evaluator, does see your self-assessment. And again, it's not to approve the self-assessment, it's just to view it, review it, and to know that you completed it so that you can move on in the cycle. Thank you very much for that question. So moving on to the next step in the cycle, which is analysis, goal setting, and plan development. At this point, you're thinking, where do I need to grow this year? Where do I want my students to grow this school year? So this is what you're thinking as an educator. How do you want to grow in your professional practice, and how do you want to help your students grow in their learning? Each educator will be setting two goals, one goal for student learning, another goal for professional practice. We suggest that you use baseline data in setting your student learning goal, and that your professional practice goal should be written to support the achievement of increasing student learning. You can replace a goal with a team goal, a grade goal, or a department goal. And this is the first step in the cycle where this has to be approved by your evaluator. So you're thinking around the goals, you're writing them, you're proposing them to your educator, to your evaluator, and your evaluator does have to approve your goals. in some cases, and we'll get into this later, educators on different plans will have their goals sometimes proposed for them or determined for them. But that'll be later in our ratings section. Again, getting back to alignment, your goals should be aligned with your school vision and priorities, and the school vision and priorities should be aligned with district priorities. So student learning goals will be based on data, your school-wide practices to support achievement. All this should be informed by the district priorities, as well as for team goals. Team goals can take the place of a student learning goal or a professional practice goal, but we do want to stress the alignment. We think this is very good practice. And then this will also help inform your self-assessment. Educators being aware of these priorities in the district and in the school is a best practice for informing a self-assessment. So the cycle kicks off with the completion of the self-assessment and your goal proposal, and those two things are due by October 1st. So again, your self-assessment and your goal proposal should be complete and submitted to your evaluator online on the EDFS by October 1st. Another best practice is making sure your goals are SMART. And we believe that this isn't a best practice that was incorporated in the turnaround schools and in other schools. But to make each goal specific, measurable, attainable, results-focused, and time-bound will only help us reach the goal. And so we do have resources available on our website, templates, and there's also a template on the EDFS to help you with making these goals SMART. Once you have a goal, you are going to enter it onto the EDFS. This is where your evaluator is going to be able to look at it and also approve it or send it back for revision. So at this point, we just want to remind all educators that you should be checking your BPS email on a regular basis, because educators will be getting alerts as to when things are updated on the EDFS, and that you can check it out and view it for yourself. But this is a screenshot of the goals on the EDFS that you'll become familiar with this whole entire system throughout this process. Next is another screenshot. You may not be able to see it very well, but this is a screenshot of what it looks like on the EDFS system. This is a goal page. At the top, you can select the type of goal. Is it student learning? Is it professional practice? The level, is it a team goal or individual goal? And then the subject matter or the assessments. And then in there's a text box where a template is preloaded, and you can use that template to help you write the goal. So this is here so that you can understand what it looks like on the EDFS system. Now goals, this slide shows you how goals relate to the overall rating. As mentioned, you have to create two goals, your student learning goal and your professional practice goal, and you're going to be measured by your progress on these two goals along with your ratings on the 4 standards. And again, in that box below are the 4 standards on the rubric of effective teaching. Those two ideas together, the progress towards your goals plus your ratings according to the 4 standards, will comprise your overall rating. And again, listed there are the 4 rating levels from unsatisfactory to exemplary. So this is how an evaluator will arrive to the overall rating: progress on goals and rating plus ratings on standards. So getting back to the 5-step cycle, we've talked about self-assessment, we discussed goal setting, and now we'll discuss implementation of the plan. And at this point, the educator is thinking, what will I do to achieve this growth for myself and my students? On the EDFS system is a place for action steps and plan development. Each goal must have action steps, and the action steps must be actionable, including what supports or resources are required, what actions you will take, the timeline and frequency, and this can also be entered onto the EDFS. Also, collection of evidence. This is an opportunity for educators to assess themselves according to the standards and performance ratings by collecting pieces of evidence to support your thinking around your performance. So this is an opportunity for educators and evaluators to come together and have those kind of conversations. This also will be housed on the EDFS. If you're not able to use a scanner or a smartphone to upload the evidence onto the system itself, you can keep a binder or a folder of those artifacts, but you should log into the system exactly what you're keeping into that binder and according to what standards, etc. So we do ideally recommend that you upload these samples of student work or lesson plans, etc., onto the EDFS, but if you don't have the capability to do that, you can keep it in a folder, but you should log it into the EDFS, whatever it is that you're keeping in that binder. We do our website, which again we'll show you at the end. We do have a sample document that shows you examples of evidence and artifacts that you can review, on your own time, but we will give you the website at the end of this presentation. Observations on the EDFS. Observations will be, again, housed on the system, and you, as the educator, will be able to see and view your evaluation along the process. So this is the reason why you want to regularly check your BPS email, because you will receive alerts as to when you're given feedback by your evaluator. You'll be alerted via your BPS email, so you want to be able to check that regularly. You should make that a regular part of your practice. So next, part of the cycle, the formative assessment and the formative evaluation. At this point, you're thinking, how am I doing in relation to my goals? And even though you might be, this is the part of the process where you're thinking that, this is also the part where your evaluator is going to begin to conduct an assessment. The formative evaluation is a formative assessment, is the mid-cycle check-in. So depending on how long your plan is, this is the midway point where you should get feedback from your evaluator about how you're doing in relation to your goals and the performance standards. How did I do this cycle? What should I work on next? This is when you'll receive your overall rating. This is what's called the summative evaluation, and this will also be given to you by your evaluator. This is another screenshot of the EDFS. Again, it has the icons, goals, standards, prescriptions, comments, overall rating, etc. This is what the EDFS system looks like. It is live, so at the end of the talk, we will direct you to the website that houses this evaluation, and you can go on and look at it today. It is up and running. This is another screenshot that gives you an example of ratings, standards, and goals. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but this is just can show you where the goals are: student learning, professional practice goals, the level, whether it's individual, the actual goal, and then the standards, the second block at the bottom, the standards, and the rating all the way over to the end is the rating proficient, needs improvement proficient. So this is just to give you an idea of what the evaluation looks like on the EDFS system. Another screenshot. So at this moment, we'll take another 2-minute break. If there are any questions, feel free to contact us, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, welcome back. We do have one question, and the question is how do you access the EDFS system? We have that website for you. We actually have a list of a few websites at the end of our presentation, so when we get to that screen, I'll point it out to you where you can actually access the EDFS. So thank you very much for that question. So now we're going to move on to educator plans and ratings. As mentioned earlier, the former evaluation system, there were 2 ratings, does not meet and meet standards. And the new evaluation has 4 ratings, unsatisfactory to exemplary. These ratings inform what plan that you're on. So if you're on exemplary or proficient plan, or if you have an exemplary or proficient rating, you will be on a self-directed growth plan, which is anywhere from 1 to 2 years, and that the length of the plan is determined by the evaluator. If you're on a needs improvement rating, you will be placed on a directed growth plan, and that is up to 1 year. And if you have an unsatisfactory rating, the improvement plan is what you'll be placed on, and that is anywhere from 30 days to 1 year. New teachers are automatically placed on the developing educator plan, and that is for up to 1 year. So these plans translate to, this is how it translates from the old performance evaluation to the new performance evaluation. If you had a previous meet standard evaluation on the old evaluation system with the 8 dimensions of effective teaching, you'll be starting the school year on a self-directed growth plan. And again, that's anywhere from 1 to 2 years. If you happen to be a teacher with 1 overall does not meet standards, you'll start the school year with the directed growth plan, which is up to 1 year. And if there are teachers with 2 or more overall does not meet, they'll automatically be placed on the improvement plan 30 days to 1 year. And again, new teachers will be placed on the developing educator plan, which is 1 year. So we did have a scheduled break. So why don't we take a few minutes to just give you time if you have any questions about educator plans and ratings. Okay, thank you. We do have one question, which is, will all teachers be evaluated this school year? And the answer is yes. All teachers, new teachers, veteran teachers, whatever rating you have, all teachers will be evaluated this school year according to this 5-step cycle. Thank you very much for the question. So we're at the point where we can talk about next steps, and we thank you for joining in our webinar, which is one way to stay engaged with us over the school year. But also become familiar with the rubric. Think about how it relates to your practice, what goals would be appropriate when you get your students and their data, analyze that data, we think that having team goals is a great way to begin to open up conversations about professional practice and also to meet the goals and to improve student achievement. So we definitely recommend team goals and participate and stay engaged. We are offering regional trainings, so please feel free to come to those. They are starting next week. I believe September 10th in East Boston is our first regional training. So the focus will be goal writing and self-assessment. So please, all of the regional trainings that we're offering this month have been emailed to all the principals, and they will be posted on My Learning Plan. But if you're interested in self-assessment and specific goal writing, those are the focus of the regional trainings this month of September. So next is, here is a list of a few websites. The first one is where you will find the EDFS, which is a question we had. This is the website that you will go to look at the evaluation steps from self-assessment all the way to the evaluation. This is where you will house everything from your observations and evidence to your self-assessment to your goals. This first website here is where that is. Then our resources you can find on the next two websites. So the other question was, how can you have access to this slide presentation, this slideshow? This slideshow and all of our other trainings and resources and handouts and documents created to help everyone understand this new process are on these two websites, the connect.mybps.org and the educatoreffectiveness.weebly.com. If you have other questions and you'd like to email our office directly, here is our email address, bpsevaluation@boston. And also, there are a number of resources on the Department of Education's website as well. So this is just a list of all the people that make up the Office of Educator Effectiveness. We work together as a team, so you'll see us at regional trainings. If you happen to email our office, one of us will get back to you. And so you can just stay in touch with us that way. And we hope we just met our goal, which was to help understand the rubric of effective teaching and the 4 standards, the types of ratings and growth plans, and hopefully you have a better understanding of what this entire cycle entails, which starts with self-assessment, continues with goal setting, implementing the plan, formative assessment and evaluation, and summative evaluation. You can continue to send us questions for the next couple of minutes, but thank you very much, and we hope you have a wonderful start to the school year. Hello again. We don't have any more questions at this time, but we thank you for tuning in with us this afternoon. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact us. We'll be more than happy to help you. And once again, have a great start to this school year. Thank you very much.